Happy Thursday, everybody. Super excited to get going in a few minutes. If you're new, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We're, like I said, going to start up in a few minutes here. Let us know where you're coming from, how everything is going so far. I hope everyone's staying well and healthy in these very uncrazy and crazy times. We're going to have some questions coming through on the chat, so just keep that eye open for you there. And like I said, we'll get started here shortly. Welcome for all those who are joining us here. Super excited as we come in. We have lots of people registered here today. So I just want to make sure that, if you're on, if you find it's slowing, this is just typical because we have so many people registered to go. So please don't be shy if you find that it's lagging. Just give it some time. It will all come through, so no fret there. Let us know where you're coming from today. If you're teacher, director, owner, mom, dad, whoever. We want to know where you guys are coming from and know who you are here. There's a couple of great people here in the background, I know, from the Hi Mama team. So if you know anybody, please say hi to them. Awesome. As well, if you know, let us know how you're holding up. We know that some states have been reopening and some provinces are reopening up here in Canada. I know that here in Ontario, it's a little slower than I think we'd all like it to be, but it's what happens. On the same side, I know Georgia reopened their doors. I know Texas, you guys have been going pretty strong here for a while. So let us know how you guys are doing there, if there's anything new and exciting happening. This is wonderful. I'm seeing people here from all over the United States and Canada as the chat scrolls. This is fantastic. We'll get started here in a couple of minutes, everybody, like I mentioned before. We have Bahamas. Oh, where we all want to be right now. Amazing. I'm loving this. This is amazing. We got Chicago seen up. I saw New York. I'm seeing Massachusetts. I've got some people here from Toronto and London area. Awesome. I saw Virginia there briefly. Man, guys, the chat is going off. I don't know if I can read this quickly. I saw Sudbury. Woohoo! Please let us know, like I'd mentioned before, how you're doing, where you're coming from, how everybody's holding up these days. A couple more minutes, just letting everybody settle in. We'll get started here shortly. Prince Edward County. I'm so glad I looked out my way. Woo! New York, I'd have to mention New York State. Anybody from that area, I hope you guys are holding up. I send my thoughts down there. It will definitely be available later. This is a big question we always get through. For anybody who's curious, we do record. I'll probably mention this again later. We record all the webinars. You do get some notes and everything sent out to you by tomorrow. Usually, we'll send everything on out, so you'll get a full recording there. Oh, I saw the Philippines there. I don't know if that was Philadelphia or the Philippines, but I definitely think I saw that. This is super exciting. Couple more minutes here. We're gonna get started up. Super excited to go through the virtual Circle Time webinar with everybody today. This is absolutely amazing. New Jersey. Stay strong, New York. Like I'd mentioned, please stay strong. We know there's a lot happening. My brother-in-law came home from New York a couple of weeks ago here. It was obviously not a good situation for you guys. We're thinking about you out there. Kentucky, Windsor, Long Island, Rhode Island. This is awesome. I have seen their certificate question coming up. We will be sending out certificates, and I will go through that in a little bit more detail just to give you guys a better idea. 2 o'clock, let's get the ball rolling as we welcome everybody coming in. So once again, welcome to the webinar here. We're going to go through some more information about virtual Circle Times. I'm super excited to show you guys a little bit more and chat with our special guest. So before we do, let's do some small intros. As you all know, if you've been here before, and if you have not, I'm Ria Simon. I am an REC specialist here at Hi Mama. I've been with the company for just about 2 years now. Worked in a variety of classes myself, but spent most of my days in the junior preschool class where potty training and I became best friends. At the end of the day, we love running these webinars for you guys. This is probably my highlight of the week because we get to give you guys some amazing info out there and really touch point on some of the things that are happening and be able to provide you some good info. The other hand I get, my co-host today, Kaya Price. If you have been paying any attention to Hi Mom at all recently, Kaya has been running our virtual Circle Times and she's phenomenal. Also an ECE, been amazing to work with her. And then on the back end as well, we do have Carmen. So say hello to her on the chat. Carmen always works with us on the back end. She's really the brains behind the webinars. And please say hello to her on the chat. Any questions you send, they go to Carmen and then she'll send them on to me. So,
hey guys.
Hello, Carmen. Always a pleasure to have you working with me, Carmen. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. So. All right, let's jump in. I'm going to bring my co-host here, Kaya, on board with you guys. Like I mentioned, I get to work with Kaya every day right now. She's an educator herself, worked in a variety of settings. So a bit of background on her. She's worked both, in childcare settings. She's worked school aids settings, as well as worked internationally. One of the things that I love about Kaya is she's A, hilarious, B, she's a strong believer in getting messy, getting hands-on with the children and bringing everything to life. So through outdoor experiences, through messy experiments, I love that part. And her doing our Circle Times just recently and being able to host those with her has been absolutely phenomenal and helping her in the background. Kaya, come on board here with us and we'll get started. Before Kaya had introduced herself, I'm going to pop up a poll. So 2 things here. As we get Kaya on, 2 things specifically. One is we have a lot of people who are coming and going on the site for the webinar. If you find that it's lagging, if you find that it's freezing, then please don't worry. This is typical when there's the on and off sort of situation. We do record, like I mentioned before. We will be sending it out to you. You guys will be getting some post-webinar notes. So don't be afraid if you feel like you're missing something. We are going to get that out to you. Okay. Second thing here is our Slack group. If you're not a part of our Slack group, there's 2 ways you can go about it. We're going to post it in the chat a little bit later on, so you can actually link up. And if you want to become part of our Slack group, then you totally can. And the second side to that is if you want to go back to the email that was sent out to you about 15 minutes or so, I believe, before the webinar, the link is also in there and you can join up. Great place for resources. We're going to actually continue the Q&A questions post webinar on there. So if you have any questions, maybe we didn't have a chance to get to it, that will be the place to take it. We want to help build out a community. We want to help build out more areas of sharing and growth for teachers, directors, owners, whoever you are. Okay, so please don't be shy there as we do continue on the Q&A. it will be there for you. So I'm super excited. Kaya, come on here and join us now, and we'll get you started. Yay,
Hi.
Kaya!
Hello.
Before we dive into the fun stuff that we have happening, maybe just give the audience a little bit more of background about you, your experiences.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Ria. So my name is Kaya. I am a registered early childhood educator. I worked in the field for about 5, 6 years in a childcare in Toronto in the preschool room. So also very familiar with toilet training, among other things. As you mentioned, I have experience working in international settings over in Tanzania with a level 1, 2 class, special needs, many different types of settings through placements. So yeah, and here I am at Hi Mama. I've been at Hi Mama for about 3 years now. I've jumped from many different teams: sales, customer success, operations, now marketing. So I'm pretty versatile. I'm like the Swiss Army man of the trade. So super excited to share my tips and tricks with everyone today.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in then. Give everybody a little bit of content to dive in. We're going to start with our agenda here. So to give you, our listeners, a better idea of what we're going to go through with Kaya, we're going to talk a little bit more about what a circle time is, especially virtually, and what it means today. And then, of course, how it's helpful for your parents. Kaya specifically, we're going to talk to you a little bit more about activities that you've done, and as well as coming, maybe sneak peeks for coming. Talk a little bit more about preparation, because I know for a lot of people, especially like myself, when it comes to tech, I'm like, I have husband IT for a reason. At the end of the day, I also want to talk a little bit more about pre-recorded versus like live, get some, feedback on there, and then as well as like equipment, editing. Of course, we're going to open this up for you guys for Q&A. And like I'd mentioned, continue that Q&A into the Slack community. And I hope we can see you there today. So let's jump in though first, just for a little bit more info for you guys, what exactly a virtual circle time is. And of course, as educators, we all know what a circle time is, but some parents are like clueless. Anyways, at a higher level, we know it's a crucial part of the day, usually when we're talking about a theme or a topic of the week, or however you like to actually set up your learning for your kiddos. It's usually develops around that. So we're talking a little bit more about maybe if you're doing a color, or if you're doing any letters, things like that, it will definitely play a huge part in your circle time. So what we're doing now, as a lot of families are experiencing, a lot of teachers are experiencing, is we've taken that inner working of a center of a classroom and putting it on virtually. So you're being able to do this online, whether you do it live or whether you do it pre-recorded, and run that little session for your families and your community. So it's typically done by the teacher of the classroom. Some center directors have jumped in as well. And it's really nice because I find that it sets the tone for the day. It can actually really be uplifting for kiddos these days. I loved my circle time. I think my kids by the end of the circle time were very over it, but which is where you learn as a teacher when to cut it. And at the end of the day, it was, I felt like it stirred up a lot of imagination. So on the other hand, what does it do? This is a big one, especially right now. It's serving with some huge mental health. Keeping kids routine is super important, but it's also letting children look forward to something. It is giving them something that they're familiar with and that they know about, and taking it and putting it in the home. And it's a cool way to let them speak with their peers, interact with their teachers, continue on that amazing relationship that the children have with their teachers, with their other families. And it's super nice because at the end of the day, you as a parent potentially could be looking at this and seeing how happy your child is, and that actually plays a toll in your own mental health. So you can be both parent and teacher, and it's a super important piece to have in their lives, which is why so many teachers have jumped on board to be doing this virtually. So of course, the hot topic that we're going to bring in here with Miss Kaya is activities you can do, things that you can do in your circle time. Kaya, tell us a little bit more about like your content and how you run your circle times.
Awesome. Thank you, Ria. So running my circle times are very similar to how I ran them in the classroom. The great thing is if you are an educator here and you're looking to run a circle time and you want to tweak how you run it, now's the time to experiment with that. Really, all you need for circle time is just a few things. And, you know, at the end of the day, you really don't need much to get this going and get it started. Pinterest, first and foremost, is your best friend. If you're not on Pinterest, get on Pinterest. That's literally where I find everything for my life. So Pinterest, and then some materials that are super, super helpful for a circle time at home would be a whiteboard or a chalkboard. If you've seen my circle time, I have a large whiteboard that I snagged from our office and some whiteboard markers, or you can do a chalkboard. I'm sure lots of us have chalkboard paint lying around. So if you have a chalkboard wall,
Oh, we might have lost Kaya there for a moment. No worries here. We'll bring her on back in. Not a problem. We briefly lost you for a moment, but you were talking about the chalkboard. Happens.
Thank you. My internet said this is the perfect time to cut out, apparently.
That's all good. It's all good.
So yes, chalkboard. If you have chalkboard paint, use that as your background. It's pretty inexpensive to buy as well if hardware stores are still open around you. Amazon's actually pretty quick. So if you need to order some, it'll hopefully come pretty soon. So those are like physical materials that you can use as visuals that you can write poems on, you can write sight words on, numbers, you can do activities on them. They're super, super versatile. Songs, I'm not a singer. Ria, you remember when we were approached for circle time and I said I refuse to sing, and I haven't sang to this day, and that's okay. If you're a singer, great. If you're not, it's the kids are just happy to see your face, you know, whether you're singing or not. There's books available online. I actually just today found a website that's free for educators. It's called Vooks, Vooks, and it's virtual books. Totally free right now for a year. And I recommend anyone who is able to sign up. So they're actually available online. So you could read the book virtually and show the photos if you don't have books. I don't have any books. I've been borrowing them from my kids or my friends' kids. So use your resources. You know, we're in a community here at the end of the day. So people are going to have toys. People are going to have books for you to borrow. You know, reach out to those people. You never know who has what. So and use props. The finger puppets that we have a photo of here, those are great. You can actually just make them out of felt. So they're pretty easy to make. Hot glue gun and felt, and you're done. We all know early childhood educators are pretty crafty. So use your craft skills. And lastly, a split screen. So I have looked into this a little bit. It's a little above like my level, but if you're feeling like you really want to test some things out, go with a split screen so that you can record a circle time with your face on one side of the screen, and then the other side of the screen, you could have like a virtual book or another book, another video up there. So kind of more tech savvy, but if you're into it, go for it. So pretty much for circle time, you just need yourself.
Any favorite props so far that you found for yourself that are like durable or easy to reuse and in a variety of ways?
Yeah. Okay. My whiteboard honestly has been amazing. And also my bin, I have like a clear Rubbermaid bin that like a small child could fit in. And I've used that for everything. I've used it for like science experiments. I used it for like a sink or float activity today. I've used it for everything. And also if you turn it upside down, it'll help like raise things. Cause you don't realize if you're sitting on the floor and your camera's up here, you need to have things elevated. So that bin has been a lifesaver.
Love it. I love it. I definitely agree with you. Bit tidbit on the whole singing thing. As soon as they said, do you guys want to sing? Kaya went, no, I put my foot down. This is not happening. So we have some questions here. And so from Kaya here, Vooks is really cool, highly recommended. So pop that out there. And then Ali, I have this bad thing with names that Kaya already knows. So just so you know, I do not say your name in any vein. I just do my best. Angela's asked, again, for what the website was here. So it's Vooks, and make sure I've said this right, Kaya. It's Vooks. And then storylineonline.org was also recommended, I heard here, by Carol.
Okay, great.
So, yeah.
See, another community. You start putting one thing out, people take it, and I get something back. So that's great.
Exactly. And we'll make sure to include all of these in the notes just for our listeners here. let's jump into a little bit more of the tech side of it, because I can definitely tell that this is probably like the touchy area of our conversation today. Like I mentioned, I don't do tech. Like I have a husband IT. That's what he's meant for. I don't do anything but on and off, and that's about it. This one's a big one. So tell us, like, walk us through like your tech and what you use, because I know there's probably lots of questions.
Yeah, thank you. So circle time, you just really need something to record on, whether it's a computer or a phone. I would say bare minimum, that's it. You're all on a computer or a phone right now, so that's all you really need. There are some other things that will really, really help. And also going back to the phone or computer, my iPhone is older than my MacBook, my computer, but it has a much, much better clear quality photo and video recording than my computer. So kind of play around if you have a computer and a phone or maybe a digital camera, play around with what looks best, because you want as clear of a picture as you possibly can. And life pro tip, always, always, always before any photos, any videos, just wipe your lens. Like use your shirt and just give it a wipe. Make sure it's like a cotton shirt. And just give it a wipe. It's up your ear, it's in your hands, it's bound to have grease and dirt on it. So just give it a wipe and you're good to go. So that a ring light does wonders. I actually have like a really tiny small one. This is mine. It was $12 from Amazon. It came in 2 days. So ring lights really help, especially if you don't have a lot of natural light, or the light, you have morning light or something, or afternoon light. It makes a world of a difference. So that. Also, a tripod is helpful, or a pop socket. I actually started off my circle time with pop socket, kind of balancing it. And then good old Amazon came in and I got a tripod to hold my phone. And that has made the world of a difference, because you can tuck the tripod anywhere. It's $20 Canadian, and I just put my phone in it and it holds it steady, many, many different levels, super easy. And you can always balance it. When I first started this, I actually was just balancing my phone against a water bottle. So many different price tiers and expertise levels there. But yeah, something to hold up your phone is good if you're going to be doing circle time on the ground. And then editing is actually pretty easy in iPhone. It's all built in to edit. If you need to like clip the beginning or the end, or if you need to stitch them together, it's fairly easy. iMovie is out there. It's a free app available for iPhones and your Mac. You can just download it, and there's tons of other free apps that you can download as well for Androids to just edit if you need to stitch them together, stitch like 2 clips together or brighten it or whatever it may be. It's pretty much foolproof out there.
Love it. I love it. I'm not gonna lie, when I was putting together everything for us today, and I had to look up what a pop socket was, because I am not an iPhone user. I have like a full cover case for my phone, and I was like, what is this technology you speak of? So I'd have to say, no, explain a little bit more about the ring light, because for me, the ones I've seen, they like go over your phone or on your phone. Does yours do the same, or?
Yep, mine just it clips. So here's my phone. It clips like that, and if we turn it on, like it goes super bright. This little $10 item was honestly a lifesaver. It takes perfect selfies and it does great circle time. You can also get like standing ring lights as well that are quite large. They're a little bit more expensive, so if you want to invest in that, go for it. But honestly, this small one does exactly what I need.
Gotcha. So in regards, we have a couple of questions coming out here for us in regards to like infants. And so this one from Christine, it's more around like circle time for infants, experience around those, maybe any tips you could give.
For infants? Yeah, absolutely. Infants is definitely going to be like a lot more shorter in general. The ones that I've been doing are more for like 2.5 to like 4 or 5. So I would recommend doing like short, like five, maybe 10-minute circle times, and like lots of props. Like honestly, grab random objects. I think in like my second circle time, I grabbed a random like honeycomb drizzler, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And I was just thinking, like, these are just random props that I found around my house. Like that's what babies are interested in, is just, exploring their world. Like, what's this object? What does that do? So something that like moves, honestly, just hold it up to the camera and show them how it moves. If it makes a sound, that'll entertain them for a little bit.
That is very true, especially when it comes to a noise and a wee one. We have a small shout out here from Maria. She says that her son helps her as well for tech. Thank you. And she has a YouTube channel. So, hey, that's amazing. I love this step up there. So let's dive in a little bit more about like set up a little bit here in regards to how you set up and tell us, like, walk us through. I know this is one of your pictures you sent us here to give them a better idea of like what you actually do.
Yeah. So this is the area here where I not only work, but I also do my circle time. So like you can see behind me is where I generally do my circle time. You want to make sure that wherever you're doing it, you're up against like a background almost. You don't want to have a lot going on behind you because that's going to be quite distracting. So what I would recommend first is pick a space, something that is against a wall or an area that you can, set up some props in, and clear it out. Just make that your dedicated circle time space. In this photo here, you can see I've got a bin. All my toys are there for circle time and my activities. So that's my dedicated space there. That's where I keep my tripod, my ring light, my chargers, everything you need for circle time. Just keep it in this area. I live in a 500 square foot condo, so this is my dedicated space to work and circle time right now. So just carve out a little bit of space there. And also have your materials accessible. So when I'm doing circle time, I'll set everything up, but something will always slip my mind that I need. So I'll have this white bin right beside me just so I can quickly grab in. Much like I used to do in the classroom with my circle time. If I needed something, I had all my circle time materials kind of lined up on a windowsill right on the carpet there. So make sure they're nearby and accessible. And the great thing is we're probably home with our loved ones right now, so they can make excellent people to kind of shove things into the frame or take things away if need be. And also I write up cue cards. So on the back of this chair, this is where I'm facing when I'm filming. And I also have my monitor on there with my goodbye song. And this is kind of like my agenda that I personally have up just to make sure I do everything and I do it in the correct order there. So if you want to make sure you're remembering everything, especially because we're not in the classroom setting and some things might slip our mind, I recommend just writing on a sticky note or a cue card and stick it up to where you're going to be facing behind the camera and what you need to do, things to remember, tips. Honestly, just write smile because we always forget to smile when we talk. Just write smile on the card and little tips and tricks for yourself.
I love it. I love it. Every educator has a bin. I can definitely speak for the bin and being right nearby with everything accessible. Tell us a little bit more, because I know you've been filming for us for a little bit now here at Hi Mama, but what have you learned from, like, let's say your first filming to, let's say, your most recent one? Like, what's maybe been the top, like, 2 or 3 highlights?
Good question. Yeah. Something that I've been learning is just to go with the flow. I was like so paranoid at first, like forgetting something or something not going right. But like circle time is just about going with the flow. So definitely that, go with the flow. Use your community. You don't know who has what materials. Just reach out to anyone you can if you feel like this is one material I'd really love to have. Like maybe your neighbor might have a ring light that you could borrow for circle time. I live in a condo and I lost my remote one day and my neighbor actually had one because she films her own content as well. And I was able to borrow that. So instead of waiting, a week for Amazon, I was able to use other resources. So use your community. And go with the flow. I think those are like my top 2 tips. The children at the end of the day are just going to be happy to see your face again.
That is so true. That's the most important piece. Well, then let's go in a little bit more about like prep for this. One of the things that I do want to jump on because I don't want to forget was Kaya told us right there at the end, we had like this beautiful Excel sheet that we wanted to kind of give you guys a point of view of, but it was just way too big to show you. But walk us through like your plan and your setup and that Excel sheet, along with some of your resources are quite interesting, I've noticed here.
Thank you. So we'll start with the spreadsheet. So that's where I start a few days before I want to record circle time, and where I go to right before I record when I'm setting up and gathering my materials. A spreadsheet, you can use sticky notes, however you want to organize your circle times is great. When I was in the classroom, I didn't organize my circle times. I just kind of did it because we're going off the children's learnings. But now that we're kind of doing theme-based, I find I need to organize it. So I would recommend getting a notebook or a spreadsheet, something going, and just writing down the date. If you have a theme, I write out my science activity and the probing questions I want to ask after. So what do you think will happen if we do this? What made you think this happened? And leaving those open-ended answers. I'll write the book that I'm going to be reading if I'm reading a book, the poem, and some questions if I do read a book or poem that will kind of spark conversation after, as well as I'll organize my letter and number of the day as well if we want to do that in the color of the day. So spreadsheets allow you to see everything visually and how it's going to look. So highly recommend that. Gather and keep materials in one place. So that bin on the left there is my buddy, never leaves my side when I'm doing circle time and when I'm working. Anything fun or random, if I'm at the dollar store, I think that might be good for circle time, I'll just buy it, put it in my bin. Eventually I end up using it. And I have all my like letters, numbers, and books and materials in there. Lights, camera position. So like I mentioned before, a ring light and good lighting is really great. If you can do it in the morning to get that nice morning sun, that's great. If not, ring light's fantastic. Your camera, give it a wipe down. And lastly, position. As I mentioned, you want to have like a nice flat background, not too much depth in it. Like right now behind me, there's a lot of depth. You can see a lot going on. You want to, Ria, this is like a great position for circle time for you because you just have that white background against you. So I pop up a few books on my counter and I move my box of wine. So we are all probably drinking our boxes of wine right now. Just tuck it away. The kids don't need to see that. So yeah, tuck it away and, fill up that space with like some interesting books or props or even like stuffed animals or something like that. And as I mentioned, go with the flow. If you mess up, the kids probably won't notice. So just go with it.
Like you'd mentioned before, just smile. It was worth every penny on the children's faces at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm super excited. We have definitely a couple of great questions coming through. So if you feel like your questions aren't being answered, don't worry. We do have them coming. I want to talk a little bit more with Kaya, though, about like pre-recorded versus live and like some pros and cons on these guys, but like walk us through. I know right now with us, Kaya, here at Hi Mama, we're doing pre-recorded stuff. So we do have a little more info on that, but maybe walk us through like some of those pros and cons on both.
Absolutely. So pre-recorded, you can stop, you can start whenever you want. It's on your own schedule, which is great because sometimes I'll think I'll want to do circle time and it's 3 o'clock and I'm kind of done for the day. So then I'll just push it to the next day. It's on your own schedule. And you have less chance of things going wrong. So Ria, I mentioned to you earlier before my fire alarms were going off in my condo, and luckily that didn't mess up my live circle time. So if you are doing circle time and things might, the dumpster, you might get a delivery or fire trucks, who knows, pre-recorded, you can always stop and pick up from where you left off. And it doesn't use a lot of Wi-Fi. So when you're going live and you have many people on, like, this webinar, for example, hence why I had to leave this webinar, my Wi-Fi cut out. There's more chance of that happening if you do go live. So if your Wi-Fi signal isn't super strong, then I suggest maybe doing a pre-recorded and uploading it so it can take the time that it needs to upload without any interruption in Wi-Fi. And live, you can have an audience with you. So I know a lot of people have been using like Zoom or Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Instagram, like FaceTime even. There's so many WhatsApp calls. There's so many different options that you can do to have a live audience and have it feel like you're actually running a circle time, and really build on those relationships. So you mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, Ria, that people are missing their educators. So why not take this opportunity to do a meaningful circle time with them? And it is a little bit more of like a longer time commitment because you'll have to like make sure that you're there on time and, promote your circle time. I wanted to mention a couple other things. With pre-recorded, you can watch Circle Time over and over. Apparently, a bunch of people are watching my Circle Times over and over, so that's great. Live is kind of more like in the moment. Some systems do have, or some platforms do have the option to watch it multiple times, like Instagram, for example. If you do Instagram TV or go live, you do have the option to do that. So couple different avenues there. They both have their pros and cons. So do whichever one you're most comfortable with.
So this is awesome. We did have a couple of really good questions, and I think you kind of came through. I know that Kim Baxter was asking about Zoom. We're here at Hi Mama very familiar with Zoom. It's our go-to avenue for meetings these days. So I guess, like, do we know if there is like any live recording option, maybe speaking about like that whole idea of being live, but then maybe sending it out later kind of idea?
Yeah. I think YouTube actually might be a really good avenue for that then, just so I'm understanding this correctly. So you would record and upload it to YouTube, which you can make private, and then send that out to your family. So that's an option there. And I think we do at Hi Mama, we have an article on many different platforms with their pros and cons and how to use them. So maybe we could send that out as well.
Definitely, we can get some more info out. We had another question and about like live sessions from, and I hope I'm saying this right, it's Maita. She said, do you think putting the kids on mute settings while Circle Time is a good thing? You know, they can't really be heard. Like how maybe would you go around that with like a live session?
Yeah, great question. I think you'd really have to gauge it. Like if you have older children, they might understand that they have to wait their turn. But that being said, our microphones are picking up everything. So kind of the unwritten rule in our office is unless you're talking, you're on mute. So it might pick up like the little chatter, or if like mom and dad are over here like making a meal, it'll pick up those little things. So you might want to start off by muting everyone and go from there. If you have younger kids who might just be like babbling or, not talking actually, that might be okay to leave them off mute. I would really just gauge it on and how big your group is too. If you have like 5 kids, that might be kind of manageable. But if you have like 20, 30, like you might just have to mute them all. So really play it by ear.
Definitely working around it. There's so many pros and cons for both. At the end of the day, you pick what is like your best. There's not one that's better than the other per se. And they both definitely serve like different purposes. Live definitely has its advantages, like you had mentioned, Kaya, about like you have your people there with you. And yeah, it might be a little rowdy, but it's also one of those things that maybe working with your parents, brainstorming about like classroom community virtually and how it will work could be a really cool thing. And maybe tell parents if maybe you're struggling as a teacher, for example, here, and maybe ways you can suggest for helping on a live Circle Time, just to make sure that, the screaming is minimal from those 1s, 2 and unders. So Kaya, let's jump in a little bit more, because you were talking about YouTube, about like places to share. I'm sure like maybe privacy is something people have like been thinking about, things like that. Tell us about, here at Hi Mama, of course, we share on pretty much everything you can think of, but ideally like for teachers out there right now where they can be sharing things.
Absolutely. So let's start with the top there. So Facebook is really great. I know a lot of our customers already have a Facebook community going where they're sharing resources, photos, short videos. So this is a great place to start off if you already have that community going or you want to start that community. Pop in your video there, and then they can watch it multiple times from there. YouTube is great. You can actually upload a YouTube link, get a free account. You can make it private so that no one can see it. There's certain restrictions on there too. So, you can only access the Circle Time if you have the link, for example. So it doesn't show up on your channel. Instagram is another great one if you have an Instagram community already, or if you want to get discovered and increase your enrollment. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram are great platforms to start that and show those who may be looking for childcare. After all this is done, say, hey, we already have this great community. Look at what our educators are doing, and really promoting yourself, your educators, and your center. That's going to help increase clientele. So If you don't have a community, you want to get one going, I think this is a perfect opportunity to get that going. And lastly, Hi Mama. You can, you can send things out, send your YouTube link out through the Hi Mama message center. And then parents can easily write back. That's all super secure in an app like Hi Mama. You can just send it out through there.
Amazing. Tell us, for me, and I freely will admit this in front of anybody who knows, I don't have Instagram. This is how not tech savvy I am here, people. Tell me, like, is there been anything you've learned about the ongoing uploading onto social media for you so far?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's like for us at Hi Mama, there's like different demographics on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and different interactions. Facebook is great because you can really keep that community aspect in a group, whether you already have a group going or you just want to post something. It's easy to just have the back and forth comments and really connect with people there. Instagram is great because you can not only put your videos there, but you can show like short photos of like what people have been up to. That's a really great aspect of community, and have like your IG, Instagram live there so people can go back and watch that. And YouTube is pretty straightforward. It's for videos. So a little bit less community feel, I find, but still really great to have just upload your videos and have them live somewhere without the worry of like, oh my gosh, my computer crashed, or where's that link? It's all going to live there. So I think regardless, as soon as you have a circle time, upload it to one of these platforms just so it's safe and secure. So if anything happens, it's in the cloud and it's going to be safe.
Very good. So talking about Hi Mama, and please feel free to jump in here at any point. We've had a lot of customer experience people tell us here, I should say, like all from our customers, we've been learning their experiences about ways that they've been using Hi Mama as their platform to do this right now, especially keeping community together. That's a huge one, keeping the teachers connected to the children. So of course, like you'd mentioned, Kaya, the message center has been a huge piece. I know that we've had a lot of distribution here through Hi Mama with like our activities going out. We've been trying to help you guys out there and providing as many activities as possible, but as well just like getting content out to your parents to give you guys better ideas. Teachers have been continuing their planning. I think that's absolutely amazing. So through their activity planner, creating that routine for their families, because they're just as burnt out and they're just as lost as the rest of us feel. And being able to just look in and know that little piece has been taken care of for them. So posting activities, posting routines within the activity planner. Once again, having the message center there to just maybe, key deployments for children on how they're going on. If families are more than happy to share across the center what's happening in their household, then it's kind of a nice way to keep together on the community. We've actually put together a case study. So believe it or not, the Buffalo Zoo uses Hi Mama to stay connected with their families. I think this is amazing. Variety of people have been using Hi Mama for various reasons, and we're actually going to include the case study for you guys in the link up. But it's a really cool way to see how they've been using us to stay connected, especially during this COVID experience. Is there anything you want to add here before we jump into some great Q&A?
Yeah. I think just parting message, like just give it a try. Like I mentioned, your children just want to see your face at the end of the day. If you have a terrible singing voice, if you mess up, if you spill your science experiment, if your science experiment doesn't work out, whatever can go wrong, it's okay. Your children just want to see your face. Technology, we're living in the year 2020 where we thought we would have flying cars. We don't, but we do have amazing technology on our phones, in our hands, on our computers. You can you can share your video really quickly, really easily with thousands of people. So I think honestly, just don't be too afraid of technology. Not much bad can happen when you are sending out a circle time video just of your face. So just give it a try and just have fun with it at the end of the day. Like, I don't know what I'm doing over here. Just have fun with it. And like I said, the kids just want to see your face and your smile.
Very true. Very true. Let's jump in some Q&A. I have some lined up for you already here, Kaya. But for the audience, I actually want to ask, a couple of things here. We've been hearing a lot about circle time, especially around being infants and toddlers and it being a little bit more developmentally inappropriate. We know that this is a hard area, especially virtually, to do circle times, but maybe for you in the audience, if you've been doing circle times for these age groups, we'd love to hear from you in the chat what you've been doing specifically, maybe tips and tricks. We'd love to hear in there. On the questions here, Kaya, Bridget would love to know what is in your bin.
Let me pull it out and I'll show you.
She's prepared, folks. I told you she'd be ready. I told you here.
Okay, so my bin is like, it's like my tickled trunk, basically.
I love it.
So I have, from my childcare days, I have these like letter and number cards. If you're in Ontario, you might recognize the company Handwriting Without Tears. So these are great number and letter cards that that have like photos on them of like animals that start with that letter. I'll pull one out here. You can also make these just using paper or cardstock. They're
Ooh.
super easy to put the alphabet on. So there's my letter J, J for jellyfish. So that's what I've been using. And then they have all the numbers on there too. Those are really great props. And you can honestly spend like 5 minutes on practicing letters and numbers in so many different ways. Let's see what else. I've got some books. This is from the dollar store. This was like $2. This is for Space next week. We have glitter, hot glue gun, food coloring, beads, window riders, puffy paint, washi tape. I'll show you the washi tape because I didn't know what it was till a couple years ago.
I don't know if I've ever heard of washi tape. Oh,
washi tape. It's like, I think you use it for like planners and like agendas and stuff like that. But like this stuff you can like use to make like charts or something, and it won't like ruin paint or won't take off any paint or anything like that. It's just like tape. Yeah, that's and my whiteboard markers here.
A whole
so
stack.
I've got markers in there.
Go to the office and have nothing left.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is my bin. It's always beside me. This is my new teaching bin.
Excellent. So Yvonne has a question as well around, I know that like here at Hi Mama, like we've been doing like try to keeping the age range pretty like vague on our circle times, but like have you ever done circle time with toddlers, and maybe like any recommendations? I know it's a hard one to keep them engaged, especially if they're actually not there with you, but maybe any tips there?
Yeah, I think in general with any age group, giving the children time to respond, especially if you're, actually no, if you are pre-recording or if you're doing it live, give the children time to respond as you would during your normal circle time. That's something I've had to like relearn, especially because I'm pre-recording them and I'm not doing it in front of an audience. You kind of forget how long it takes a child to think and then respond. And without making it too Dora the Explorer style, you know, kind of like make it so that you're like asking yourself that question. So for an example, today I was doing a sink or float activity and I said out loud, I have this boat here. Do we think it'll sink or float? And I paused and I kind of said my answer and then I did it slowly. So even as I'm slowly putting the boat in the water, the children can still have that time to respond. So really just taking the time to let the children respond is super important, especially for younger toddlers too.
I love it. It's so true. I think that especially if we are recording, or even if we are live, like we are here, we almost forget to give them a chance to answer. Very true. Okay, on to the next here. We have a question from Lori, and so Lori's actually a special ed teacher, a special ed self-contained classroom. Sorry, and she wanted to know if we have any suggestions or tips for children where you have like one-on-one staffing right now. So that's hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to be one-on-one with a child all the time. So
yeah, it can absolutely be a little bit tricky there. Yeah, I mean, keep the conversation flowing, and this is a really great opportunity to find out more about their home life too. If you are doing something that's one-on-one, and you have, you know, that technology to have calls like this, use that opportunity to really find out about their life, meet their parents, you know, see their dog, show them into your life. That's a really great opportunity to stay connected and to learn more about each other. I think that's really great.
It's totally true. It's a big chance. I find, especially when I don't know if we ever had those days where, maybe there was just less kiddos, or it was like a special half day for some reason. You had less kiddos in the classroom. I learned more about those kiddos in there that day than I think I did any other day. Like, it was just a little easier to learn more about their lives. So Nicole has asked, and I think this is a conversation I think we had a little while ago about reading books online, but like, are we aware of like any copyright laws about posting videos of yourself reading? I believe when we started the conversation around Circle Time, we were like, well, if it's been out there and you've bought it, I don't believe so. But anything you've heard along these lines, Kaya?
Yeah, that is a little bit tricky, and it's a little bit of a gray area. And I think it really depends on what scale you're going to do this to. I think like if you're sharing it with your, like, in a smaller community, like with your parents, and you own that book or you're using that book, that's okay. And a couple of the other websites that a couple people mentioned are okay. Like they've already bought those rights to the book. So I think that's okay. And this is, again, is a great opportunity to do your own material and write up your own silly story, your own silly poem, and come up with something new. And then you don't have to worry about any copyright or anything like that.
For sure, for sure. So then I have here, Diane has asked for, especially like a family childcare where the ages are mixed. Any suggestions on those ones?
Yeah, really great question. With anything, I think it can be really catered to any age. So let's go back to that sink and float activity. If I'm I had some like foam cars that were floating. You could ask the younger children, do you think this will sink or float? That's a pretty much yes or no question. And then you can ask the older children, why do you think it's going to sink or float? What makes you think that it's going to sink or float? So kind of like upping the questions for older children and kind of like lowering them for the younger ones is really great.
Awesome. Awesome. We have some awesome shout outs here, Kaya, that I think we might be able to take away from, as if we've been learning throughout this whole session here. So shout out here, Diana said they've been doing a weekly group time with a whole class. So 2 and some 3-year-olds. We find muting after we say hello helps the children focus and engage with teachers. We sing the name song, read a book, and a teacher plays piano while we sing familiar songs. Kaya's not singing, guys. I'm so sorry. Starting to add some felt stories, and it runs about 15-20 minutes. They've also met each family one-on-one. They all do it over Zoom, and it all sends out an activity 3 times a week. You guys are doing a great job. We have Stacy. They've been doing virtual crazy hair day Zoom meetings. Parents love it. It's fun. The kids love it as well. We should do this in the office. Crazy hair day. Marketing team, let's go. Renee, things they've done. Show and tell. I love show and tell, especially at home. They get to like show you things potentially they can't even bring in for various reasons. Treasure hunts for favorite toys, colors, reading stories, singing songs with lots of movement, questions, and showing them cool things that apparently she can juggle. Renee, I challenge you now, video request, come on in. And finally here we have a good question here from Rachel. So many of us, when we return to work, will have to wear masks. Maybe Kaya here, what's your thoughts on the ideas for maybe a fun mask game introduction to just help maybe ease some anxiety that's probably happening, and maybe what you think could look like around the whole mask experience? I know this is kind of an up and down area for a lot of people.
Yeah, great question. I think kind of normalizing what's going on is something that you could really take away from this. So if you have a mask at home, whether it's homemade or you bought it like from the store, like bring that in and just kind of show and talk about it and start the conversation, especially if they're old enough to kind of understand like something is going on, like start that conversation and show it. And then, maybe another time, like put it on, invite them to put a mask on. Like it's going to be a very interesting time when we are able to go back. This is a great time to, show, like, I also use hand sanitizer. I'm also washing my hands a lot, like we're in different spots. We're in different houses. We're not seeing each other, but we are doing a lot of the same things and just kind of normalizing. It's going to be the new normal. So that's what we're doing.
Very, very true. I have one more little tidbit here from Grace, and then we're going to just start doing some wrap up here. But she's been doing a daily live circle time, so congrats there. She sets up Zoom wall behind her, calendar, attendance dots with names, math counters, games, lots of super graphic books. I love that, with easy words, big font. I think that's a great thing as well with the being virtual right now. The font is generally very large. She also bakes with them. She's starting her own cooking show, everybody. Let's tune in. Everything happens in her 9-foot square corners. So like you, Kaya, working in your tiny one here, it's doable, everybody. It's doable. Kaya, before we move on and start wrapping everything up for them, do you have any words of encouragement, anything to tie it all up here for our audience?
For sure. Educator to educator, what you are doing is so important and so valuable. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's a 5-minute circle time, if you have no props, whatever you're doing, honestly, the human connection is what we need right now. So keep up with it. If you're a little bit nervous about starting circle time, maybe start with just like a one-on-one call with your kiddos if you can. We know it's hard and it's difficult out there. So thank you, educators. If you're in the classroom right now, thank you so much. If you're at home doing circle time, we really appreciate you. So thank you all so much for what you do.
Kaya, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I get to do this every day, but I was so excited to do this and have you on, share your experience. And it's super nice to work with an educator on the team, and you speak my language. So thank you so much for being with me today and sharing this hour with us. So
thank you so much for having me.
So what's next? Okay, a couple of pieces of note for everybody here on the call. So you're going to get show notes. You're going to get a recording here, and we're going to be sending that all on out to you to tomorrow. If you want a certificate, okay, this is super important, super valuable. I'll probably say it twice for you. We'll be sending out certificates with we'll be sending out a certificate email. If you want a certificate, please fill out the form for those who would like the certificate. If you do not fill out the form, you sadly will not receive one. So just to recap, if you want the certificate, in the certificate email, you will have a form to fill out. Please fill it out. Please, and we'll get it to you. Thank you for everybody who's, we have been going up and down with getting those all out. If you potentially were on one from last week, we were just getting through a couple of things to make sure you guys can get them as quickly and as easily as possible, making sure the process is easy for everybody. So thank you for your patience. Next week, we have a mental health session. I am super excited. The panelists for this, you guys are gonna love. You can sign up there. That will be coming at a beginning of next week, I believe. Here, Carmen, maybe correct me if wrong. But at the end of the day, it's super exciting. Same time, so next Thursday, May 7th at 2 p.m. We will be chatting with our guest speaker here on managing mental health, and especially with going back over ideas of bringing staff back in the class and things like that. So it's a pretty hot topic. Last but not least, like I had mentioned, if Carmen if not has already, or is now going to be sharing the link that you can access Slack. So you can go ahead, you can sign up and be a part of our professional group. It's an amazing group of people. It's an amazing group to bring together some community. We want this to be an area where you can look for support, or you can post questions, where you can share resources. We also want it here so you guys can communicate with us after, and being able to any questions that potentially maybe you weren't sure if you should post it or not. This is a safe place to do so, and we don't want you guys to think that at the end of the day you shouldn't. So please join us there. Once again, it should be either in the chat. Carmen will be taking care of that. Or it's in the email that was sent out right before the webinar started. I believe about 15 minutes before the webinar. That reminder email will have the link. And so just so you know as well, for the email for the certificates, they will be sent out tomorrow. So pretty much expect everything to start rolling tomorrow out there for you. We have not forgotten about you. It just takes a little bit of time to get the process created on our end. At the end of the day, just remember, on behalf of everybody here at Hi Mama, we want you all to stay healthy. We want you to stay safe. We're all in this together. Thank you so much for spending this time with us here today. Please take care of yourself, and I hope to see you all joining us next week. Take care, everybody. Thank you once again, and have a great Thursday.